Sean here with another quick hit. This is actually a repeat for me, although not a repeat for you. This is a video I recorded while standing in front of the Cortland Repertory Theatre, about to see My Fair Lady for the second time, seeing their production of it. And the sound on it just wasn't good enough for me to save. So I'm having to re-record the idea. So what I want to talk about today is My Fair Lady. And I also want to talk about pandering to your audience or choosing to not pander to your audience. Common wisdom tells us that if you want a successful play, you want a successful movie, you want a successful TV show, what you need to do is figure out what your audience wants and give them what they want. Sounds good, but it's actually not accurate. You can pander to your audience. Sometimes that works. Sometimes it doesn't. But sometimes you do even better and you get the audience even happier about what you're doing, not by giving them exactly what they think they want, but instead giving them more than or better than what they want, or figuring out what actually feeds the audience. And if you can figure that out, that's your better example. So for the pandering, My Fair Lady is actually a great case study in pandering to your audience. It's based on a play called Pygmalion by George Bernard Shaw. It is the story of a language professor who elevates a shop girl from lower class to upper class just by changing the way that she speaks, and the consequences, the fallout of that. Now, in the play Pygmalion, at the end of the play, Eliza, the shop girl, the flower girl, she's actually not a shop girl, she's even lower than that, but she leaves Higgins. They do not end up together in any way. They don't. Their relationship is kind of broken. They do not end up together in a way. Now, audiences kind of yearn when they're watching a story like this. They yearn for a romance between. If there's a guy and a girl, they're going to yearn for a romance between them. George Bernard Shaw did not think that a romance between this older professor and this girl was even appropriate, let alone good for either of them. So he did not turn it into a romance. But then it got bought by Hollywood and was made into the movie Pygmalion, which George Bernard Shaw actually worked on. And they said, oh, audiences, they're going to see the girl, they're going to see the guy. Of course, they're going to want them together. So let's end with them romantically together. George Bernard Shaw hated that idea, but he was getting paid by Hollywood, and he already had made a lot of other fights over this story. So he's like, he says, yeah, whatever you want to do, just do whatever you want to do, and kind of washed his hands of that. My Fair Lady is based on the movie Pygmalion, and it has that ending where at the end, Eliza leaves just like she does in the play Pygmalion, but then comes back, and the movie makes it very clear that they are going to be romantically involved, and Higgins, the professor, is going to be the one in charge. Now, this is problematic on many, 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 many ways, not just the age difference, not just the Stockholm Syndrome element to it, but the text makes it very clear these two are not romantically right for each other. So there's been several attempts to kind of fix this problem in the modern age when we're much more sensitive to these issues anyway. And some of them I just kind of disagree with what they do because they flat out change what the text itself is saying. There's a famous example of a theater company that did it in New York, did a production where at the end, Eliza comes back in. Henry has his famous line, where are my slippers? And instead of fetching them like she does in the standard versions, she just turns around and walks out. And it makes it very clear that she's not going to be part of this relationship. What I don't like about that choice is it goes against the text. There's no reason for Eliza to return if her motive in returning is just to turn around and walk back out. So how do you fix this? Well, one of the ways that you can fix this problem a lot of times, and certainly in My Fair Lady, is by going into the text. And this is exactly what Cortland Repertory does, is they go into the text to see what is the text actually saying, and can we stage this final scene in a way that reinforces what the text is actually saying. And the text makes very, very clear that Eliza and Higgins are not romantically meant for each other. Eliza says that point blank. She says, if I want romance, that's what I have Freddie for. Our relationship is not a romance relationship. So I'm not going to buy into that. Now, the conflict that's going on here and the conflict with the audience is the audience wants the two to love each other. And so they're looking for a romantic love. There are four kinds of love. There's Eros, romantic love. There's Philia, which is brotherly love. There's Storge, which is more familial love. And then there is the supreme love of agape. Eliza is looking for love. And I think the two of them do find love, but it's not Eros. They struggle with how to understand it. They struggle with how to put it into words, which we all do, right? Because we're all looking for love. And when she meets this guy, and they do have a love there, they're trying to figure out, well, what is that love? Well, what Cortland says, which I think is what the text says, is it's a brotherly love. It's a family love. Higgins grew up an only child without a father figure. He's never had a sister to put him in his place. He meets somebody who can put him in his place, and it is in the form of his sister, Eliza. But when we get to the end, what we realize is they should be together, but not as an Eros love couple. They should be together as a family because they're good for each other. And so that's what they find. So what Cortland did is Cortland staged the ending the way a sister would react if a sister walked in and her brother demanded, oh, now that you're here, fetch me my slippers. The play Pygmalion, he says, Eliza, order me my ham and cheese. She says, order it yourself. Goodbye, I'll never see you again, and leaves, and he's left her all alone. It's meant to be kind of a tragic sort of a thing. Here we're getting our happier ending with her coming in, but he says, fetch me my slippers. She doesn't have a line, but in the staging, the way that she receives that line makes it very clear that one, she's going to stay. Two, that he's going to be better off because she's going to stay. But three, she's staying as an equal and not staying as a captive romantic object. So go into the text, feed your audience. Don't just say, what do they want? Now we're done with the conversation. Say, what is going to feed them? What is going to give them even better than what they want? All right, this has been a long, quick hit. So my semi-quick hit has now completed. Thank you.